What if I told you that everything you know about focus is wrong, that it's not a tool for productivity, but a weapon for domination? While others preach mindfulness and balance, Machiavelli showed us a more ruthless path. Focus isn't about peace, it's about control. If you want to succeed in a world filled with distractions, you need to learn how to weaponize your mind. Let's break down the true power of focus and why most of us are getting it completely wrong. In the world of modern self-help, we're inundated with advice about productivity timers, to-do lists, dopamine detoxes, and morning routines. But Machiavelli, perhaps the greatest strategist in history, never wrote a self-help book, nor did he concern himself with the modern tools we use to stay focused. Niccolo Machiavelli understood that focus wasn't just about maximizing productivity, it was about harnessing your mental energy for domination, and in doing so, controlling your environment. This was a concept he mastered like no one else. Machiavelli's view on focus challenges the traditional perspective. To him, it wasn't a tool to help you do more. It was a weapon to carve your path through a chaotic world. The real issue isn't about how you focus, it's about what you focus on. Most people struggle with focus not because they lack the potential, but because their focus is scattered. They are distracted, overwhelmed by the multitude of goals, desires, and societal pressures. In a world overflowing with information and endless opportunities, Machiavelli's insight is clear. The mind is not weak because of its lack of power. It's weak because it's too dispersed. A focused mind, on the other hand, becomes a formidable force. This is where the first strategic lesson comes in. Focus begins with subtraction. While modern advice encourages adding more structure to our lives, Machiavelli's wisdom lies in elimination. To truly dominate your focus, you must cut away distractions and stop pursuing everything. In fact, Machiavelli famously advised rulers to imitate both the fox and the lion. The fox avoids traps, while the lion eliminates threats. Distractions are your traps, and choices are your threats. The modern world bombards us with endless options, and we have been taught to believe that more options lead to greater freedom. But the truth is, options dilute our power because the more choices we entertain, the more we spread ourselves thin. It's not weakness that clutters the mind. It's indulgence in too many pursuits. And this indulgence only results in the dilution of our power, a state where energy is wasted on meaningless goals and relationships that don't serve our mission. This is the brutal truth Machiavelli uncovered. A less is more. Less goals, less options, less distractions. If you want to wield focus like a weapon, you must become ruthless in your exclusions. The man who masters focus is the man who says no. He must cut 90% of the goals he thinks he should be chasing. He must eliminate people who drain his time through guilt rather than value. To become an expert in focus, one must focus on one thing with unrelenting intensity. Focus is not about balance, and it is certainly not about multitasking. Machiavelli didn't preach harmony, he preached territorial control. Focus requires psychological commitment, something that goes beyond mere concentration. It's about burning all the exit routes, all the distractions that prevent you from mastering a single craft or achieving one clear goal. In a world that celebrates balance, Machiavelli would have scoffed. For him, control was the ultimate form of power. And control is not a passive state, it's a decisive action that demands we declare war on distraction. Focus, according to Machiavelli, is violence against distraction. If you want to be great, you must declare war on mediocrity, on the temptation to be good at everything. Focus is about obsession, and the most powerful men in history didn't achieve greatness by being well-rounded. They mastered their craft so intensely that everything else became irrelevant. Now we move into the second stage of mastering focus, eliminating the noise. The world is full of distractions that seem trivial but have a cumulative effect on your mental energy. Notifications, messages, and unnecessary obligations pull your attention in countless directions. Machiavelli understood the deadly power of distraction, and his advice was clear. Do not waste your attention on things that do not serve your greater mission. In modern society, we glorify availability, assuming that the more accessible you are, the more influential you'll become. But this couldn't be further from the truth. Machiavelli understood that visibility can often be a sign of weakness. When you're constantly available, constantly responding, you lose your power. Your energy is scattered, your focus fragmented, and your sense of control diminished. Take a step back and ask yourself, what does constant availability really accomplish? The answer is often nothing. It's simply noise. A Machiavellian strategist would not be available at every beck and call. Instead, he would remain elusive, unpredictable, and mysterious, allowing his actions to speak louder than his words. This is the power of strategic silence, a concept Machiavelli championed. Silence is not just the absence of sound, it is the presence of control. A mind that is always connected, always reachable, is never truly in control. Machiavelli would say that true power lies in your ability to control your availability, to let your absence be felt, to create a sense of mystery. This mystery creates an aura of respect, and more importantly, it allows you to operate without the constant noise that undermines your focus. The modern world teaches us to be always connected, always engaged. But this constant engagement dilutes our focus. To weaponize your focus, you must create sacred spaces where distractions are banned, where you are allowed to be completely present with your thoughts and work. 3 hours a day cut off from the world should be your baseline. In these hours, let nothing intrude on your mission. During this time, do not check your phone, answer emails, or attend to the trivial concerns of the world. Instead, do deep work. Machiavelli would argue that when you make yourself available to everything, you make yourself available to nothing. You weaken your will by spreading yourself too thin. This is why the most focused individuals deliberately withdraw from society, not to escape, but to sharpen their minds in solitude. It is only in the absence of external noise that true mental clarity emerges. This strategic withdrawal isn't about laziness or avoidance, it's about preparing yourself for battle. Just as a soldier doesn't prepare for war by engaging in meaningless skirmishes, you don't prepare for success by attending to every distraction. Instead, you must arm yourself with focus and prepare for the war of your life, the war for control of your mind. And here's the most important principle of all: focus is the key to creating pressure. In a distracted world, the focused man is not just working hard, he is working with purpose, intensity, and the undeniable power of control. Machiavelli once said, "Necessity is what impels men to take action," and this is exactly how you must approach your focus. The need for focus should feel like necessity, like life or death. Without it, everything else falls apart. The greatest masters of focus are not those who find motivation. They are those who create pressure. They set impossible deadlines, force themselves into commitment, and make their mission non-negotiable. This is how you turn focus into a weapon. You manufacture the pressure necessary to drive your mind into action. The next crucial aspect of mastering focus is learning how to create psychological pressure. In a world filled with distractions where everyone is focused on minor goals and fleeting pleasures, Machiavelli taught us that the true strategy lies in creating real, unavoidable pressure that propels you forward. Pressure doesn't wait for you to feel motivated. It forces you into action. Most people fail to achieve their goals because they don't have enough pressure to compel them to work relentlessly. Motivation alone won't get you where you need to go. The real driver of success is pressure. This pressure is not external. It must be created internally. Machiavelli recognized that luxury weakens and comfort kills. The most successful men in history did not rely on external motivators. They manufactured their own pressure. They set deadlines so tight, so intense, that failure was not an option. When you impose pressure on yourself, you eliminate excuses and force your mind to focus on what truly matters. Machiavelli would recommend that you take on challenges that seem impossible to complete, that you make commitments publicly so your reputation is on the line. When your ego status and reputation are at stake, focus becomes a necessity. Fear sharpens the mind, and pressure purifies your attention. If you want to truly dominate, you need to build environments where pressure fuels your performance. The key idea here is that pressure creates the conditions for focus. If you are always comfortable, always safe, you will never find the drive to truly focus. Instead, you must introduce self-imposed pressure, whether through public commitments, high-risk bets, or impossible deadlines. Machiavelli believed that focus is not a passive skill, but an active force that is sharpened through confrontation with difficulty and fear. This principle is crucial in a world where distractions are constantly pulling at your attention. When you are under pressure, there is no room for weakness. Focus becomes a life or death matter, not something to dabble in. Pressure forces you to hone your attention on what truly matters, eliminating the wasteful pursuits that many people indulge in daily. Machiavelli also understood the power of strategic silence. In an age where everyone is constantly reacting and speaking, the one who can remain silent, who can avoid distractions, exudes a sense of power. Silence is the ultimate weapon against the noise of the world. By not reacting immediately to external stimuli, whether it's a text message, a social media notification, or a well-meaning friend who asks for your time, you command the space around you. People notice when you don't respond immediately. They notice when you don't react. This creates a mystique, and with mystique comes respect. This is not just about avoiding distractions. It's about creating a forceful presence that demands attention without needing to say a word. Machiavelli understood that true power lies in being able to control the flow of information, in using silence as a weapon. When you remain calm and composed in the face of chaos, you project power. You are no longer a passive participant in the world, you are the one who shapes it. In the same way that a great leader controls the movement of armies, you must control the movement of your mind. Focus is not about merely completing tasks, it is about commanding your environment. It's about using strategic isolation to fortify your mind and make decisions with unshakable clarity. By learning to control your focus, you begin to control your world. The final transformation in mastering focus is the understanding that true focus is not just about mental concentration, it is about self-mastery. Machiavelli's greatest insight was that the true enemy of focus isn't external chaos. It is the inner chaos, the distractions within your own mind. These distractions come from your impulsive urges, your emotional triggers, and your need for validation. Machiavelli believed that the greatest rulers were not just skilled tacticians, but masters of self-discipline. They controlled their desires, their impulses, and their emotions. If you cannot govern yourself, Machiavelli warned, you are doomed to be controlled by the external world. The first law of self-mastery is this: you must govern your internal environment like a ruler governs his kingdom. Without internal focus, all external efforts are futile. The power of focus lies in your ability to shut out the noise and channel all your energy into what matters. This requires making tough decisions, cutting out distractions that do not align with your purpose. The world will try to pull you in 1,000 different directions, and people will try to steal your time and energy, but you must remain ruthless. If you want to create extraordinary results, you must make the brutal choice to say no to what drains your energy, no to things that don't serve your mission. Mastering focus isn't just about discipline, It's about creating an environment in which distractions cannot thrive. Your workspace, your daily habits, your social interactions, they must all be structured in a way that supports your singular goal. For example, how often do you allow distractions to pull you away from deep work? Every notification, every conversation, every distraction weakens your ability to achieve. Just as a kingdom without strong walls is vulnerable to attack, a mind without strong boundaries is vulnerable to distraction. Machiavelli knew that successful leaders didn't just fight external battles, they created internal fortresses. To truly dominate, you must eliminate the distractions within your mind. This requires recognizing the sabotaging behaviors, the fleeting pleasures, the emotional temptations that steal your attention. Machiavelli believed that even the greatest rulers were only as strong as their ability to control themselves. The same applies to you. Your focus is your most powerful weapon. Guard it fiercely. Ultimately, the most powerful men in history didn't just focus, they turned their focus into an identity. Focus became a reflection of who they were, men who were unwavering, strategic, and impossible to distract. To achieve extraordinary success, you must stop trying to be everything to everyone. Choose your mission, narrow your focus, and then pour all your energy into it. Once you do, you won't just become focused, you will become unstoppable. Focus is not a choice. It is a declaration of war on the distractions and weaknesses within you. And when you wield it like a weapon, the world will have no choice but to obey. Focus is not about working harder. It's about working smarter with ruthless precision and clarity. Your attention is your greatest asset. Treat it like gold.